Thank you so much for returning to our second Facilities Fundamentals workshop. Today's workshop, Everyday Sustainability for Home and Work, is facilitated by Preston Jacobson from the Office of Sustainability. Preston earned his Bachelor's of Science degree in Environmental Sciences with a focus in hydrology and sustainability from Western Carolina University, WCU. His previous work includes sustainability analyst at Haywood Community College from 2010 to 2013, hybrid/alternative fuels and biodiesel production instructor at Haywood Community College from 2011 to 2013, a field technician for WATR, a nonprofit serving Southwest North Carolina from 2009 to 2010, and GIS technician for WCU from 2007 to 2009. He has been serving as a sustainability manager here at the University of Tennessee, maintaining the Office of Sustainability on campus since 2013. On the side, Preston also owns a regional weather forecasting service, Local Yoco Weather, serving Southwest North Carolina since 2007. Yes, this is the same person with localyocoweather.com on his bumper, so you'll see him around town, and now you'll have the chance to meet him. Ladies, please welcome Preston Jacobson.
Such a formal introduction, I don't know if I can keep up with that. Thank you all for coming. When I give presentations and lectures, I love for people to interact with me, so you don't need to raise your hand, just stop me talking and just ask questions. Typically I'll fly through a lot of slides, so please, again, stop me, and at the end we'll hold questions. First off, we're going to start with a little icebreaker. This is always a fun part for me. Who here can answer this question? And it's more common than you think. Obviously, it's the biggest crop in the U.S., but it's in front of us every day. We walk across it, we maintain it, we admire it. So there's other hints up there too. It's the largest crop in the U.S. with no nutritional, economic, industrial, or ecological value. Any guesses?
Grass.
Damn. I thought I was going to hold y'all up for a few minutes. There goes my PowerPoint. It is grass. It's something that we need to take into account. A lot of what we do here is more so for the image that we're trying to achieve. So keep in mind that sometimes grass still can be beautiful, even not in an aristocratic, lawn-maintained setting. So this is the outline of what we're going through today. Again, I'll kind of fly through all this, and I hope you all will interact as we move through. But I wanted to start you out with somewhat of an introduction to the environmental movement. You know, we need to more so inspire you to become sustainability champions across campus. Without that, what are you doing and to what purpose? We can teach you how to be sustainable, but again, if you're not inspired to be, you're more than likely just to stop after day one. I would hope that you would continue that conversation on with others and hopefully inspire them. If not, create a talking point in some point of culture here on campus. So the history of environmentalism is better understood with more so the actions that brought up the movement. Back all the way to the 1830s, when America was more so being established, environmentalism is rooted back in American philosophy. One of the early influential environmentalists, of course, is Henry David Thoreau. We then tapped into somewhat American pragmatism in the 1860s. John Muir was highly influential. The National Parks and Wildlife Reserve were created. Sierra Club, which is highly influential both in the work that we do day in and day out here in Eastern Tennessee and more so the nation, was founded in 1892. And we're moving forward into the 20th century. The national parks were then established. However, 2 world wars somewhat stifled economic, or rather environmental movement. Mainly because we were having to divert resources to war. We were losing our population. Obviously, there was contention between a lot of nations, so that held up a lot of the discussion and talking points. But back in 1948, that kind of slowed down. In some regard, the Denora death fog, which killed 8 people, was somewhat good and obviously bad in that regard, but it brought the environmental movement back to the forefront of topic. There are videos, links in here, we won't watch them for the sake of time, but essentially this was a smog created in a valley in Pennsylvania based off a silver mill, if you will, that was producing silver mine ore, and it just created this death fog that lasted for 12 days until the weather pushed it out. But people were now aware of what they were doing locally with their industry. Fast forwarding a little bit, we had the WPA enacted in 1964, and then the Cuyahoga River Fire in 1969 in Ohio was another kind of momentous movement forward, and that now water quality was being looked at because literally the river was on fire. Now granted, this was not the only one at the time. This is more so in a larger city where the media started covering these events. So again, it got pushed among the local, regional, and national newspapers. So bringing that up a little bit faster, all this kind of came to a head, and during the 60s and early 70s, we defined it as the modern green movement was established. So Silent Spring was a very, very influential book published in 1962 by Rachel Carson, and then the EPA was established in 1970, leading to the first Earth Day in 1970 as well. So fast forwarding again into the 21st century, the Senate passed an aid bill to restore the Everglades in 2000. Minor work to begin with, but that kind of started the topic of climate change overall because the Everglades are very susceptible to sea level rise and decline. The Arctic sea ice drops to an all-time low in 2007, again further exacerbating rather the talking point of climate change. The EPA celebrates its 40th year in 2010. There are a lot of good recognition points around that. By 2025, back in 2012, Obama established the new fuel efficiency standards. So by 2025, 54.5 miles per gallon is mandatory on all new cars. And then back in last year, in March 2014, the IPCC released its fifth and most alarming climate assessment report. There were a lot of debates following that, but also a lot of action gained from that too. A lot of people were more inspired to do more work towards environmentalism. We've heard about climate change, global warming, whatever you want to call it. It's a very contentious debate. A lot of sides have supporting documents saying that they're wrong, they're right, et cetera, et cetera. But honestly, who cares? My thing is, yes, climate change is real, global warming is happening, it is anthropogenic, caused by humans. But really, what is the point of debating all this if we're not taking action locally? We need to defend local and live local, or live local, defend local rather, because if we can't come to a solution here in Knoxville, then again, what's the point about debating something that's 1,500 miles away as that point source? So I encourage everyone I come across to focus here in Knoxville, Eastern Tennessee if you must go to a larger scale, and let that be the starting point for the movement to grow elsewhere. There are a lot of dots to fill in. There are a lot of great spots here in the Southeast that are very sustainable, whether it be Asheville, here in Knoxville, Chattanooga, but the in-betweens need to be filled in. We need to have a cultural uprising and not just a few of our intellect and higher influential people pushing us towards climate change. It needs to be a mass population movement. So again, let's focus more locally, let's see the benefits locally, and that will almost push out to the world in itself. So how do we define sustainability? There are many ways to define it. We always reference the Brundtland Report back in '87, meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. But here at UT, we take that and we kind of condense it a little bit because we all love visuals. You know, here in America, we can't walk across the street unless you have a visual saying don't walk. You can't say that in text. So here's our visual. It is defined based off the previous definition as environmental, economic, social is what we call the triple bottom line. Here in Tennessee, we tend to focus in a different manner, economic, environmental, social. And whether that's good or bad, I'll leave that up to you, but I think it's good. Here in our culture on Eastern Tennessee, and specifically in Knoxville, specifically at UT, we have somewhat of a conservative right-wing thought process, and that's okay. But we can show them the light, so to speak, by saying, hey, green is truly green. So our office focuses on economic environmental opportunities. So when we say we're going to offset this many trees, this many greenhouse gas emissions, it's always at the back end of our argument. First and foremost, it's we're going to give you $1 million savings. Now they're drawn into attention, and oh, by the way, we're going to offset 100 metric tons. So there are a lot of benefits. As I mentioned, green is green. The benefits range from healthier living, financing, and community engagement. Some healthier living aspects are, of course, the natural material use. There's no chemicals in those. And open building design. It pretty much takes you out of, I'm inside of a building, I'm constrained to this job, it's feeding into my soul, I'm never going to get out of it. We bring the outside in, it actually encourages a healthier workplace. And you are what you eat. I'm a big proponent of that. Granted, I don't eat healthy all the time, but again, it's more so awareness is the picture here we're trying to capture. And this, of course, is where I focus heavily on. I just tend to work my mind more in a business mindset, but we have a lot of opportunities when we look at it through a sustainable lens, whether that be reduced maintenance costs from using a LEED certified or standard building to sustain return on investment. A lot of people are stuck, especially in the past 10 years, well, more so 8, with the economic downturn for short-term cycle gains. I'm in trouble, I'm under the gun, I need to get help now. So let's get these short-term cycle gains going. But when we're looking back on it, we had wished we had focused more on long-term cycle gains. And we can talk more about that, but again, for the sake of time, we'll move forward. Community engagement, I think, is probably the biggest impact about being sustainable, one of the bigger benefits, especially in the day and age with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, yik yak, I could go on and on and on. I'm learning new things every day from the students. It's taken us away from the interaction with people. And so sustainability kind of not necessarily forces that, but it provides an opportunity to where it seems a lot better to go that route than staying stuck behind a computer screen and or isolating ourselves in silos across campus. So again, I'm getting more to the sense of community. We feel a part of the movement and not just one peg in the wheel.